Let the chaos reign. Chaos Reign presents Indigenous Marriage. Can it save a community? With special guest Hassan Ali. Broadcast November the 1st, 2020. Enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In a world where there's crime, corruption, murder, rape, theft, and all forms of atrocities that plague the world in which we live in today, what you're witnessing, we are living in a state of chaos. And it'll take a much greater or extremer chaos to restore the order in which the world we live in today. Good evening, Black people. This is Chaos here. And tonight, it's going to be a very special, I would say, topic, much that I have never covered here on Chaos Reign, but something that you will learn and enjoy nonetheless.
I'd like everybody to go to talkrosolutions.com. On talkrosolutions.com, you'll see a 3-point plan for Black empowerment, Black achievement. Under the 3-point plan, you'll also see the list of Black-owned banks, establishments, and also in the website, you'll see a list of articles of news, current events that goes on out here in the West, we call America, and abroad. So check out the website for yourself. It's talkrosolutions.com. Also, you can find this stream being broadcast on YouTube. As you know, we're back on YouTube. Type in Talk Real Solutions on YouTube. There you find all broadcasts, or I should say some of the recent shows and things that was done and that was broadcast and posted on YouTube. I think one of the few things that we didn't have much updates recently because of little issues with YouTube. But let everybody know we're back on YouTube, so please don't be hesitant. Hit subscribe to the YouTube channel on Talk Real Solutions to catch every broadcast on YouTube. Also, we're broadcasting simulcasting on Facebook as well. So if you're not a like member or a group member of TRS, please like the Facebook page as well so you can get the latest of the same conversations and streams also on Facebook. So, you can find us on this broadcast not only on YouTube but also on Facebook. So don't be hesitant, don't be shy. Like the Facebook page of Talk Real Solutions. Yeah. Getting a little tongue-tied. But nonetheless, let me see if my guest came up on the stream. So I'm going to look now and then give you the title of tonight's show. So just having a little technical difficulties. He's going to come up shortly. The call number for tonight's show, just for anybody that's listening, is 712-770-4160. The access code is 977-194#. I repeat, the call number for the show is 712-770-4160. The access code is 977-194#. As my guest comes in, I should put that in. I would say we're almost approaching this election cycle. And if I'm right, which I probably am, or I could be wrong, that the person that's doing 4 years right now in the bigger office might do a second term and do another 4 years if everything plays out right. So I don't really see much change. But one thing is certain, that if the oligarchs change and somebody's going to be the new president, I expect for the next decade or decades to come, or years to come, that most presidents don't do one term if everything plays out eventually. But we shall see. But no further ado, let's get on to the subject. Tonight, Chaos Reign presents, and I'll support my YouTube. Hold on. Chaos Reign presents Indigenous. Can it benefit the community? Or I should say, can Indigenous marriage benefit the community? As I open my mic, I'd like to present for the first time on Talk World Solutions my good friend that I've discovered, Mr. Hassan Ali. So, Hassan, hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you good. Welcome, brother. First
How
time
you doing today?
T.R.S, Talk World Solutions. I'm good. And I'll change the edit of the title. But before we jump into the festivities of things, I'd like to go back in a moment of time with every guest that I have as a guest on Talk World Solutions. So let's take a step back before we jump forward into the present and the future. So tell everybody for the first time here on Talk World Solutions a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, before I get into that, just want to say, Chaos Reign, I appreciate you having me on. Hassani Ali, out of the D. I've been a Michigander my entire life. I'm a football coach. I'm here on YouTube. Catch me at Coach Ali's Corner, where I do motivational videos. Right now, I have a series where I am currently doing my weight loss journey, and also the No Nut November journey, which also kicked off today. So encouraging men to be a better version of themselves. Once I started on my channel and on there beyond, I've been married for 5 years now. I've been with my wife for 10. Got a family of 3. Just had a newborn. Well, he's 2 months old now. But I'm a father of 3 boys, and we are the overseers in the marriage department of our indigenous government.
Excellent. Yes. There. I'm gonna have to cut this off because it's annoying. I would say that it's good that you're a family man with 3 boys. No girls yet, but we're hoping.
Not yet.
Not yet. But as you know, as a black man that has boys, more than 1 boy, it can be challenging. But nonetheless, it's a blessing nonetheless, because now there's a family and a nurturing system and a structure system to draw the best out of a young black boy that will eventually become a black man in the future. Can we agree?
Absolutely.
Yes. But on to the matter at hand. And this is the first time I'm having this discussion, because I never did focus on indigenous marriage in a way. So I would like to ask, what is it about? What it composed of, really, of this thing we call indigenous marriage? Because this is something that I never really got a real understanding for the first time hearing it.
Okay, so just to basically give a quick summary of what an indigenous marriage means is that I spoke about this over on Bernard Riley's channel, is that basically it's everything minus the state-sanctioned certificate that you get. So with this type of journey, you really have to be 2 mature adults in order to, sign a private contract that's done between you and your spouse, agreeing on certain terms. And in the case that marriage ends, you could be mature enough to, and we're hoping that wouldn't have to happen. But in case that it does happen, that you're able to conduct business, in a civil manner, proper separation of property, proper adequate time parenting with children if children are involved. But basically, you're giving the autonomy to yourself to manage your own marriage. And a lot of times when we talk about, state-sanctioned marriage versus non-state-sanctioned marriage, a lot of people don't want to validate it because it's not through the state. But we know for a lot of people, who've been through that experience and through that arena, that the state is not necessarily fair for families, particularly to men. And so if you want to have that autonomy with your relationships without the interference of the state that you're in, then why not go through an avenue where, if you know, it's a lot of well-to-do, well-off people sign up private contracts with their marriages. So when they end, you don't hear about them splitting up things in court. They can happily go their separate ways and, go about it in a civil manner. But we're about the family. I know everyone talks community, but in order to have effective communities, you got to have effective families. And if you don't have effective families, we're not going to get anywhere in this political arena, in the social economic arena. We got to be able to have stable families to raise these children, to raise these children to solve our community's problems.
Okay. From where you're from, is there a large growing number of indigenous marriage from, I guess, our communities? Or is it something that is not looked upon or is frowned upon to the collective so far?
It's still a newer concept. So right now what we're actually we had a conversation about it earlier today, is we're trying to find a plausible marketing tool for those who do want to get married but don't want to have to go through the headache of dealing with the state, how to market to them or how to do that effectively, amongst themselves. Because even if they don't join, our tribal government, we still want to be able to provide the service of, here's how you have a state or non-state sanctioned marriage. Here's how you do a private contract. Here's how you get it authenticated with the state. Here's how you, put your spouse in your will, on your insurance, how to put your kids on your health care plan. You have all the same steps as you would, if you have the marriage certificate or not. But, again, we're putting everything in your hands. And so once we're looking for the type of couples who are willing to get married and want to take that next step, we're right now trying to figure out how to make that a feasible idea for people to move forward without the skepticism, if you know what I mean.
Okay. So the only trick is to market a way favorable for any person, including our people. So for those that want to play this, what we call shacking up or playing mommy and daddy in a house without no actual proper contract, because you need some form of contract at the end of the day if something happens, which things go south in our relationships. I think the divorce rate right now in this community is like roughly over, or actually almost approaching 8%. I got to double check.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly the women in our community file it the most.
Correct.
Do you really have an understanding why the women in our community just file it the most from the what we call the state type marriage license?
I mean, because I personally have not done the research, but I mean, you can see that, they're given the option. They're given the option, and they know that 9 times out of 10, they will come away with something when they file for that divorce. If you give a child an option, to receive candy before the room is clean, of course you're going to take the candy, because it's, you know what I mean? Because while you're cleaning your room, you may have a taste for that candy now, and so of course you're going to opt out to receive the candy before the room is clean, if you're given the opportunity. And so for a lot of ladies who still believe that they're still, high value, and I hate that I'm using this term, high value on the market, or that they could find something else, it's easy for them to just say, I don't want to deal with this person anymore, I'm out. Back in the earlier, like when my parents were married, my parents have been together 40 years before my father passed, and you had to go through the church, you had to go through counseling. There were barriers, there were things that you had to go through before you could say that you quit. You couldn't just, wake up one day, but I'm done.
Walk out of it.
I'm sorry, repeat that again?
You can't get one day and say, I want a divorce. It don't work like that. You had to go through process, temporal process.
Right. You have to go through some things. You have to work out your problems, through counseling, whether it was through a church or whether through a professional. You had to go through some sort of reconciliation before you could even think about going through the divorce process. But now that you have the no-fault divorce, it's so easy just to say, well, I'm unhappy. We're going to go with irreconcilable differences without, without necessarily working out, hashing out the details. And what you're seeing now, and you're seeing it kind of on the social media spaces as well, is that a lot of ladies are, divorced their husband 5 years, 6 years, and now they're turning back like, okay, maybe I couldn't have done better. Maybe I could have worked this out. Maybe I left them for a silly-ass reason, but they had the option to do it, so that's what they did, especially if it was an emotional-based decision.
But, like one thing, Hassan, that's why if you look at when Ronald Reagan, and I probably will read it to people what is no-fault divorce in a second, but if you think about it, that was the whole purpose of why he put it with the help of his colleagues while they're in the office at the time. Because they really came around to like 74. I think Reagan got out at 72. So, but the blueprint was already set. You get me?
Yep.
That the intention why they really did, and my conclusion why they really did it is because they know with stable households, most people are able to financially build themselves out of certain situations before the economic start to really be fuggled in America going on the 80s. Because the price didn't start skyrocketing or started to creep up until after, like Big J said, or not Big J, but this I already know it, when they got off the gold standard in 71. So
right.
Now that you start to give women easy out of the relationship, it even makes it more affordable for a lot of couples that are separate, that we all know women are going to consume the most. So it's easy to expunge certain resources from a man much easier now without him attempting to save a marriage. For a reason, the woman is going for a little emotional tantrums, that she just sit there one day and say, man, I just got tired. Let me just walk out of this marriage. And know she has every kid ready, maybe 1 or 2, God willing, and then she up here alone. If she gets alimony, depending on the state, if alimony was given at that time, depending on how long you've been married, then you only live off that for a few years, and then you get some child support as well, which is not really that great. And then you go right back in the market again, hope to go find a husband. But the likelihood of a woman getting married again is less than half.
Yep.
And I think right now in today's climate, I think it's even 67%. And I'm just throwing numbers. We're not going to look at the book. We could assume if you got married at a certain age, you divorced at a certain time. If you have kids, most likely your chance of getting married again is very slim, depending on what man you're trying to look for. And if a man is doing pretty well, he's not going to play no stepdaddy to another man's kids and all your baggage. And a lot of women don't like to hear this. But I love y'all women, but I'm just telling y'all the truth. If you're married once and you divorced for whatever reason, you'd be lucky to have a man just to entertain you, to stay around.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying most men won't do that, but there are some men that will do that. But most likely, get a chance to get married again, that's slim, especially us as people. But go ahead. You was about to say something? Huh?
No, and I was just going to say, and unfortunately, what happens is a lot of ladies will conflate, sexual attention to long-term relationship attention. They have the idea, well, guys are always approaching them, offering sex, that that person wants to be with them long term. And on the contrary, I mean, a guy will, get sex from you off whim, at any time. The objective is can you really get that man to, take care of you, take care of your bills, take you on as a life partner from that moment on. Guys want sex regardless. And most times, and you hear this a lot in the red pill community, is that a lot of guys will sacrifice relationships in order to get guaranteed sex.
Yeah, guaranteed sex. Yeah, you're right. I'm just find this up. Keep talking. I'm trying to find no fault divorce.
No, you're fine. And so, and again, when you are a divorcee, you don't want to, a lot of times you'll go on the marketplace and society will tell you, you can get back out there. You can, the world is your oyster. You can have, any type of mate that you want as long as you get yourself out there. Girl, you're amazing. You are special, this, that, and the third. But imagine having to compete with the other thousands of of ladies who've been told that same thing. At the end of the day, you're still going to have to compete. And that goes for men too, but, typically we all know that men don't leave relationships. And yes, I know you're going to get the pushback, well, guys cheat. Yeah, guys do cheat, but we don't leave relationships. We will, once we have a commitment, once we decide that we want to spend a long period of our lives with you, if not the rest of our life, it would take something very, very drastic for us to leave. And I think that's kind of where a lot of us get misconstrued with relationships where, we look at those divorce numbers, you always kind of hear that straw man question, well, why do the women leave? What's making them leave their guys? And it's kind of a fake outcry that all these ladies are being abused, all these ladies getting cheated on, all these ladies are, not getting their fair share in the marriage, when really, she either has other options or that she has a strong faith or belief that she's still available out there on the market, so she would take her chances out there on the market.
I see. I found it. I have to pen and I have to do a separate show on my channel with this no fault divorce because it's giving me all the states, and I think each state is different. Let's take an example. Let's go with South Carolina. And mind you, I'm gonna do more in detail.
Okay.
Let me look at this. Come scan it first. Okay. I might as well read it. In South Carolina, with no fault divorce, it states, and my mic sound good? Let's make sure my audio sounds perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It says the residency requirements for divorce. First thing, you need to make sure you meet your state requirements before you file your petition, formal written request for divorce. If you don't, you won't be able to start the divorce process. Each state sets its own laws regarding residency. The main factor of residency requires laws in the period of time you live within the state where you plan to get divorced. Some states will let you file for divorce without a waiting period. If you currently live in the state, others may require you to be resident for anywhere up to a year before you can proceed with a divorce. And last time I checked, most divorces in our community don't last 2 years now. So Let's say if it ends 6 months, you cannot file the divorce under a year. It has to be over a year in certain situations.
Yeah.
So when people say that divorce don't last 2 years, that's actually the benchmark. You can't go anything lower than that. For them just to let you, if you could sit there, send out a petition, you have to be on the average a year. Now, some people will push and say, well, some people divorce. Yeah, I hear it, but it says here, and if I read it again, and you heard it, I read it, it takes up to a year. Did you get that?
Yep.
So you're not going to sit there, file divorce 5 or 6 months, depending on how easy you can walk away from it or the messy paperwork, that you're going to be done within the end of the year. No, it don't work like that. It takes an average. You have to wait till a year with your spouse, then you can make a decision if you want a divorce.
Right.
That's how quick it is now. And I think it's always as quick. But when we hear people last 5 years, 10 years, it was one time 10 years, Then it went down from 6 to 5 to now 2. That's the minimum. So the grounds of divorce are the legal reasons on which you base your self-request that the court end your marriage. Grounds fall into 2 categories, fault-based and no fault. So what is that? Let's click on that. What is fault divorce? A fault divorce may be granted with the requirements grounds are presented and at least one spouse asks that the divorce be granted on the grounds of fault. Only some states allow fault divorce, and you must find whether your state allows fault divorce. And NOLO articles collected by Divorce in Your State, which it gives you the links of all states and their criteria conditions. The traditional fault grounds are cruelty, inflicting unnecessary emotional or physical pain. This is the most frequent used grounds for divorce. I'm not sure if that's the average, if there's a data on that. The other one is adultery, which always, like you said before, Hassan, you hear a lot of women said, the man was cheating. All this stuff. Well, I heard people that's in relationships that's married that are doing pretty well, that are quote-unquote rich, have a divorce rate of under 20%. And we know the man probably fucking around. I know I shouldn't cuss, but let's let y'all know. He might be screwing around, but the wife don't go nowhere. So I always think that it's not always the adultery is the issue. If that, and mind you hear this from a lot of our women. Time I said when a man is so-called of value, he's going to cheat, he's going to do this. And I said, you are so immature and so stupid, ladies. A man, like always, if he decides to put a ring on it to you and made his decision final, he's there like Miss Goddess, 6 foot, said it best, to lock down the womb. You play your role. He comes in, make sure he has a roof over his head, make sure he has money, house, food, etc. You know, take care of the little business that is needed in a marriage or relationship, especially in a marriage. Food, clothing, shelter. He will protect when needed. Do the things that Lale said that is lacking in the community. That's my check. Am I
right? Yeah, but we can go down that road when it's time.
Yeah. But anyway, let's continue. Desertion for a specific length of time. I think when the man just don't want to come back to the house, maybe I think that's what I mean by desertion. Confinement in prison for a set number of years, and the last one, physical inability to engage in sexual intercourse if it was not disclosed before marriage. Now, we all know if your man or wherever your wife or whatever reason can't have sex with you, and mind you, I did not did a show on this, but I did talk about it the following last broadcast I did about the man complaining about that he is denied sex. Now, I'm not sure that is grounds for divorce, but from what I'm seeing, physically inability to engage in sexual intercourse. Now, I'm not sure that could go many ways, but if your wife is not willing to give you some sex when you need it, that might be a problem. I mean, now I know I'm not telling what a man should do, but you're not getting at home, you know, there is the road. But that's not story. Anyway, so that's it. Why choose a fault divorce? Some people don't want to wait out the period of separation required by their state law for a no-fault divorce. And in some states, a spouse who provides or proves the other fault may receive a greater share of the marital property or more alimony. Okay. What if both spouses are at fault? Good question. When both parties have shown grounds for divorce, the court will grant a divorce to the spouse who is least at fault under a doctrine called cooperative reconciliation or recital a year ago. What do you call it? Yeah, reconciliation. I think that's how to say it. Sometime. When both parties were at fault, neither was entitled to a divorce. The absurdity of the result gave rise to the concept of cooperative rectitude. Can a spouse successfully prevent a court from granting a divorce? One spouse cannot stop a no-fault divorce, objecting to the other spouse's request for divorce. It itself is irreconcilable differences that will justify the divorce. A spouse can prevent a fault divorce, however, by convincing the court that he or she is not at fault. In addition, several other defenses to a divorce may be possible. What it called condemnations. Condemnations is someone approves of another activity. For example, a wife who does not object to her husband's adultery may be said to condone it. If the wife sues her husband for divorce, claiming he was committing adultery, the husband may argue as a defense that she condoned his behavior. Which, my thing with adultery, to keep 100 on time, if you find your man cheating, and mind you, women will know if a man's doing that anyway, then by all means, you should automatically terminate the marriage right there and there. You should not be giving him time, a month, and so we're going to work it out, or, just going to let it slide for months, and a year or two. Then that means you condone the behavior. That's what it said right there. If you do not take action right there and there after you discover the man cheated, or you already knew he cheated and you did not move, this is not really, the judge going to look at that funny.
Shout out to Nicole Young.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Nicole. I'm going to cheers that. Camara, she's using 3 mistress against Dr. Trey, because right now I'm telling you right now, she's going to be lucky if she walk away with a good chunk of change during the whole 20 years of this marriage. Because one of the few things she has found that she has done that is a great ill on her part, she committed theft during the marriage.
Right.
And mind you, theft is a criminal act.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, she is a woman of, she's not a black woman per se. So she obviously thinks that it's okay to do this, and you might get something in divorce, particularly more of a man's wealth, half his wealth. And, I hear a lot of women talk about this nonsense, Hassan. You might have heard it from YouTube, but I heard some women did not talk about this after this came about. But, sweet, we got to attack the black man. This big bag boogeyman. This nigga ain't shit. I told you, Shan, this non-black woman, now she's going to get half your wealth. Really? How, Sway? How? And
right.
I'm not fond of Dr. Trey. I like his music. I like his producer. I think the man is a homosexual man, but that's none of my business. But nonetheless, he is good at what he's done, and that is making music. And mind you, Dr. Dre is not a dummy. He is not a stupid brother. He's a businessman.
Right.
He got his priorities in order. But you see, I think when it comes to our sisters, they feel because the black man had got his junk in order and he dates and married out, which I don't approve of as a man, but that's another question, that when he gets screwed by a non-black woman, instead of if he was got screwed by another black woman, you might hear the men complain about this. Some men are complaining about it now, Hassan. I don't really care because most men that are making money, we as men, we don't have no understanding what real money is. Real money.
Right.
You think these people that's making millions of dollars that got to where they're at really that stupid? Oh, I forgot. You're a Negro. You're supposed to be stupid. You're supposed to be stupid with me. Don't be stupid with other groups of women. How dare you give this bitch your money? It should come to me. That's how they're thinking, bro. When they watch these celebrities and watch some of these men go and venture out with non-black women, which is their choice.
No, go ahead.
It's their choice, but nonetheless, this man's not a dummy. Go ahead before I continue reading. There's more.
No, I was going to chime in really quickly because we have to look at something. You have to understand that the celebrity I guess you can call them the elites. The elites among us are a small group of people, and so you're looking at people who are projecting what they would do if they were in that situation. Most people are not. Most ladies are not going to get access to a Dr. Dre, or they're not going to get access to a Drake, or what's my man with the 10 kids, Future. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the anger and a lot of the vitriol is a, I don't want to call them, pseudo emotions or phantom emotions, because it's like, this isn't happening to you. So why are you taking it amongst yourself like, you've been through this before with high status people? Is what I'm saying. And, the thing I'm looking at is, because we already know, as black men in particular, and you see this reflecting in the present political arena, is that sisters have the belief that they own us and that they're superior to us. And so, when you like you were saying, when you see a brother that has his stuff together, when you see a guy who can exercise his options, you don't necessarily see the sister's ability to, snap that whip and put that brother back in line. You're seeing it with Ice Cube. Everyone's getting on him for working with Trump. And, the fact that he's not, and shout out to Snoop, this is no disrespect, but, when Snoop, when Snoop barked at Gayle King, he backed down real quick when he got that backlash from the sisters.
He had to, because his money was in jeopardy, because remember, he's not the ruler of his own destiny. I'm sorry to say it, Snoop Dogg is somebody else's bitch. And that's just the plain truth.
So, so when you see it from the arena where Ice Cube is like, I don't care what you say, I'm doing what I'm trying to do, for black folks, but I'm doing it my way. And you kept hearing people saying, well, how come you haven't done this? And you should have done it this way. And he's like, look, y'all can contribute to this contract, but y'all would rather, criticize me because a black man made it. And, it automatically seems inferior because, Joe Biden didn't co-sign it, or, Sean King didn't co-sign it. And so you see that we have this, how do I want to call it? You see we have this this kind
entitlement?
of I'll use it.
Entitlement.
Yeah, the entitlement where black men should always go in black women's interest, and even when it comes to dating, when it comes to politics, when it comes to economics, brothers are finally saying no. I'm tired of holding up my bargain of the deal and always getting short-ended. I'm tired of being the stepfather. I'm tired of protecting you when you want to go out and do what you want to do. Men are finally saying, I'm going to do what's right for me. And now that men are doing that, now it's a big problem.
But, to be honest with you, Hassan, it should be a big problem, because black men, for the first time in, I guess right now, the existence of this country, black men are trying to take some form of control of pretty much the political side and slowly everything else that affects us. It doesn't seem great from what we're witnessing right now, but I'm seeing a tinker, a pushback, which is leading to a start that certain black men, even black men that's off of YouTube or wherever, they're doing some things, but it's really more quiet in certain movements. Usually what you hear in the surface is things that they want to accomplish or want to see done, while in the background you see the people that's actually doing it being a little bit more effective than some of the people that's running their mouth on podcasts, YouTube, etc. Like I said, the pushback is real, it's a necessity, and the only thing I see moving forward is you're going to see a greater pushback now. And it goes back again that when it comes to our sisters, and let's keep it real honest about owning each other. It sounds good. I hear a lot of black women say that black men own them. Well, I'm thinking, but you own us. But let's be real honest. We don't really own each other. So when I hear these conversations about who owns who, it makes one to think deeply. Do somebody have you on a leash or something? What the hell are you talking about owning? Because if another group of men really said that I got $1 million, I'd take it away from these group of men, you would do it in a heartbeat. You might say you don't want to do it. You probably do it for less. But because when we look at let's say their options, right? It's not a growing reality. Especially, let me tell you something, black women that's descendant of slaves in America, they have it really good in America.
Absolutely. And they know that. And they know that.
Yeah. They know that. Because go outside America and do. See, one thing people not telling you, honest, true black women, regardless if you're here in America or Europe, because Europe is a different monster in itself, which I can't go into, that these are only institutions or countries that will accept your mediocrity, your bullshit. Go outside into a third world country where you don't get no support, no child support, no assistance. Hell, you can't act ratchet in a certain way and think you're going to be protected in a way. Hell, you're not even protected now from your behavior now, from what I'm saying.
Right.
And you complain about that. So imagine you step out this environment into a new environment. It only gets worse down here, boo-boo.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, and I know the topic is, private marriage or off the grid marriage. And, in our sector, this is where we're taking our stance. Like, we're only, taking in, deserving women who want, a particular, who want to be wives, who want traditional marriages. Most of the men who are married in our tribe are financially secure enough where the woman stays at home with the children. We're very into our traditional roles, and not saying that women cannot work, but it's typically a work from home, a business at home, type of deal.
Something small, something small that they'll keep themselves occupied. Hell, or contribute to the community. Like, non-black women, they go to charities, they give back to the poor, they do things that's tangible to the community. That is more of a proper role most black women should do more. You get me? Instead of sitting there trying to do things like a man, work like a man, per se. Some of them and strong, independent, and all this nonsense. Go ahead.
Right. And so, and that's why we have the private contract, because, if you dare think about running, you don't have a contract with the state, so you can't go see a judge. For example, all 3 of my children don't have birth certificates. They have indigenous birth records. Their records are on file and they're authenticated with the state, but they don't have a birth certificate. So if you try to call Child Protective Services, what they gonna do? You don't have a contract with the state. Everything is about contracts. And so if you put a contract in place where where the man isn't underhanded in the exchange, then it makes the contract I won't say more realistic, but a woman will think twice before they're like, I'm done, I'm gonna just leave, take half the stuff, take the kids. Like I said, you're gonna have to be really mature in this arena for you to be vetted by my wife and I. Because we get people come to us and say all the time, well, we want to get married.
1 second, I just switched mics. Hear me good?
Yep, I got you.
All right, hold on. Let me fix something. Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
I just switched my mic. I just switched my mic. 1 second, people. I got to turn this off. Oh shit, this is not off. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I saw somebody raise their hand. I'm gonna open your line right now. I'm gonna try to see if I can call back. Let me see what this is. All right, caller, open your line. Who's this?
This is me. Just listening to the show. How you doing, Chaos?
How you doing, Greg? Okay.
I went through a divorce. I love this topic you're talking about, man. It's very interesting. About the and it's long overdue because we need to address, why we're not getting along, black men and black women, and how come we're not formulating families like other people are doing. It's a lot of reasons why that is, but we need to get back to that, to the family. And I like the fact that black men are finally speaking up a little bit because it's been one-sided for so long. And that needs to continue. Black men need to continue to speak up and say what's on our mind, and without being shut down from people. We need to have our moment in the sun. And I just appreciate you letting me speak, because normally when I do speak about this, I get shut down. That chaos. They shoot me down pretty quick. All the time I get shot. But our voice will not be silenced. This is just the beginning of the iceberg. There's more brothers out here that are talking about this issue we have with our sisters, and it's going to continue on. We will not be shut down. We will not be silenced. All right? Yeah, still there?
I think he dropped off. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Did he drop off?
Well, he might have. But what I will say until he comes back is okay, go ahead.
I missed everything. You going to repeat what you said, Greg? I had to step away because I switched devices. But I should sound good now.
Well, yeah. Well, I was trying to stay. I'm an older brother, and things were not always as bad when I was growing up. Black men and black women did get along for the most part. I saw functioning black households growing up.
Okay.
But I honestly believe that most sisters really don't want to be married. I used to ponder this question, why there's so many single mothers, and finally dawned on me they don't want husbands. And I think black men need to maybe figure that out. They prefer to be single mothers. They grew up in that environment, and they're comfortable, with calling the shots. They don't want to be under a man's leadership, a black man's leadership, whatever. Maybe they want to be under a white man's leadership. But that's something that we brothers got to figure this out on our own. And here's the problem I see. Is that we're at war right now. This is a war between matriarchy and patriarchy. There's a war, and the other side's winning. And unless we step up as black men and enforce some sort of patriarchy, I don't want to go back to 1950s and all that shit. Women are cooking and cleaning and they're getting abused. But we can't let women run shit. I mean, too much longer, because all we have is chaos in the black community.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Go on. I was playing with you. Go ahead.
I direct you to the nearest black community, okay? If you want to know what chaos is, okay? So we're at war right now, matriarchy and patriarchy, and black men aren't fighting. We're passively sitting back and trying to make these arrangements and agreements with black women, and it's not working because, black women, all they do is just point the finger back at us. That's all they do. So we have to lead. We have to show leadership on this thing, and we have to destroy matriarchy. We're going to have to get rid of it because we can't coexist. We did in the 70s. Okay, my parents were married, and we had intact black families, and we had single mothers. We sort of coexisted, right? But black families were still the dominant structure in the black community. You're still ashamed for having kids out of wedlock. But right now, that number's going down, and it's been going down for the last 40 years, and the matriarchy is just taking over. And we can't coexist. And matriarchy and patriarchy cannot coexist, man. We can't coexist with them. They're gonna take us. They're gonna take over, and then all we're gonna have is chaos. We're gonna have baby mamas, baby daddies, women having kids with 3 or 4 different dudes. Our kids are gonna be in and out of jail. They're gonna be dropping out of high school. They're gonna be just rolling in the streets, not doing nothing, no structure. And that's what we see now. We have to put an end to black matriarchy, man. we have to take out the oxygen. Whether we have to maybe we have to start working with these white people and start cutting down on the Section 8, maybe the food stamps, not now with the pandemic, cutting down on the Hope 6 grant loans. We have to quit supporting matriarchy. We may have to make alliances with people that we really don't like. Maybe some of these fucking white folks on the far right, we're going to have to make alliances with them, working alliances to end this shit, man, because it's just destroying Black America. It's just, I see it firsthand. I saw it. I'm older than you guys. I saw it in the 70s where we had intact families, Black families, uncles, aunts, nieces. Where boys dressed right, where girls wore dresses and crossed their legs and shit. I saw all that shit, and now I go to the store, I'll see a 13-year-old girl wearing whatever ass crack out and titties out and shit. All this that would never go on back in the day. I mean, it just wasn't. It was. I see shit that I never saw before. And I'm older than you guys. Like I said, I'm in my early 50s. But you guys are gonna have to put an end to this shit, man. You cannot sit back and listen to women and their nonsense and their bullshit. You have to just put a firm hand on. Stop marrying these damn single mothers. Start by that. Stop marrying these single mothers. Stop dating them. Okay. Stop screwing them. Leave them alone. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing you should do. Stop messing with them. Leave them alone. Okay. All right. That's all I had to say.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Thank you.
Real quick. Mind if I chime in for a second?
Go ahead.
So I appreciate you, Brother Greg, who called in. I was getting ready to. You were out, and I was getting ready to respond to him. I definitely appreciate his feedback, especially being 20 years my senior. And I was going to ask him if he had read a book called "Promises I Can Keep: Why Women Choose Motherhood Over Marriage." And so, it's a Sports Illustrated, man. Well, I haven't read it for years, man. It's all good. It was a book done in the 90s, I think 92. It was a study done out of Philadelphia where a psychologist went around and she surveyed hundreds of single mothers in the Philadelphia areas, and she asked them, why did you choose to you could have a child, but you didn't want to marry the child's father? And a lot of the ladies were saying that, your baby will love you regardless of how you treat it.
Right.
But you have to, be accountable to a husband.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have to be. It sounds like like Phil Moyers did. Something similar to that. He did a study similar to that. Phil Moyers.
So for those who are listening, it's called "Promises I Can Keep: Why Women Choose Motherhood Over Marriage." I forgot the woman who wrote the book, but it's a 1992 study.
Okay.
I'll write it down. Promises I Can Keep.
Oh, it's Catherine Eden. That's what it is. Catherine Eden.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Thank you, Greg. If anybody else, if they have any questions, I will open lines for anybody that wants to have any questions during this discussion. The call number again is 712-770-4160. The access code is 977-194#. Now, hold on, let me just. Okay. Let me continue to read let me see how long this is. Oh, it's not lengthy. Let me finish read this. What they call convoyance. When convoyance is the setting up, this is a continuum of the reasons for divorce. Let y'all know. It's setting up of a situation so that the other person commits a wrongdoing. For example, a wife who invites her husband's lover to the house and then leaves for the weekend may be said to have convinced his adulterer. If the wife sues her husband for divorce, claiming he has committed adultery, the husband may argue as a defense that she convinced that is a setup in his action. And what they call provocation or provocation provocation is the inciting of another to do a certain action. If a spouse sues for divorce claiming that the other spouse abandons her spouse might defend the suit on the grounds that she was provoked and the abandonment. And conclusion, which is the last one, if a couple lives in a state where no-fault divorce requires that the couple separates for a long time and the couple doesn't want to wait, they might pretend that one of them was at fault in order to manufacture a grounds for divorce. This is called conclusion because they are cooperating in order to mislead the judge. If one spouse decides he no longer wants a divorce before the divorce is granted, he could raise the conclusion as a defense. But these defenses are rarely used for a couple of practical reasons. The first, providing a defense may require witness and involvement, a lot of time and expense. Second, your efforts may likely come to nothing. The chances are good that a court will eventually grant the divorce because there is a strong public policy against forcing people to stay married when they don't wish to be. And for the most complete set of books to help you end your marriage as quickly as and inexpensively as possible, get No Divorce Bundle. I don't know what that is. Let me click what that is. Oh, wow. They got a bunch of books on divorce. Interesting. But the problem is most people don't read these books anyway, so I digress.
Yeah. Right.
And I have to live in a state to get. Wait. What's this? There's more. Let me make sure this is the end of it. It says here, that's very important. Do I have to live in a state that gets a divorce there? And it says here, all states require a spouse to be a resident of the state, often for at least 6 months, and sometimes for as long as 1 year, before filing for a divorce there. Someone who files for a divorce must offer proof that he or she has residence there for the required length of time. Only 3 states that allows this: Alaska, South Dakota, and Washington, which is pretty much white dominated. That's my check.
Yep. Yeah.
And have no statutory requirements for resident status. In other words, being a resident at the time you file is enough. Now, if you remember, Hassan, there was an article done a month ago on some European wealthy, I think, Caucasoid man had a girlfriend lived with him for a couple months, and for miraculously, the judge ruled that she and him were more than just an item, that they were in some type of contract agreement without no contract. So he had to pay her alimony.
That was out in Canada, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was in Canada. But we all know in Canada is a little fishy when they do their laws, especially in regards to couples, marriage, and all that stuff.
Right.
I'm not big on Canada, but if you're gonna claim that if a person's living with me for whatever time period, now we're a married couple, I mean, it's weird in itself. But like I said, certain countries and states, because we live in America, is a little bit more difficult because mostly they're more catered to the woman for whatever reason it is, that they're going to grant everything possible just to, I guess, extort resources to the man in regards to the state.
Right.
And so they don't really care much about the kid or the woman. As long as the state gets their cut, it's all good for it. You know? It's all
That's
good.
the system. Yep.
That's the system we live in. So let me finish. Did I finish by this? Okay. If you think that your spouse may file for divorce in another state, it may be prudent to spend the money up front and file first. If your home state rarely is a divorce settled in one court appearance, and if your spouse files elsewhere, you could rack it up. Lots of traveling expense, also another modification to the divorce decree, including the property settlement agreement and an arrangement for child custody and support. Most must be filed in the original state. This could keep you traveling out of state for years to come, especially if you have children with your spouse. Get more tips, and, there's more tips in it. And the other one, it goes, can out-of-state divorce be enforced, which I'm not going to. You can look for yourself. I might leave a link during the end of this podcast. But that's just little snippets of no-fault divorce in some way. It didn't really go into the South Carolina state, but I just clicked in and just gave more detail about it. And, people could find there. But nonetheless, that was a little educational for y'all. Let me check who's on the board. Moving forward, in regards to the indigenous marriage, in regards to children, from what I read and what you heard, how would the indigenous marriage or marriage contract work in regards, let's say, with children? Is it more stiffer or more lenient on the man's side with this indigenous marriage, if you want to expound on this?
What do you mean as far as if the couple were to get divorced?
Yeah, let's say if there's any separation, like either you're done or she's done, now children are in the play. How that will work in favor to either party?
So what we would do is, and again, I didn't get a chance to expound on this, is every marriage is I guess you would say, I won't say managed, but there are overseers to each marriage. Typically an elderly couple, not doesn't necessarily have to be, but we call them our covenant keepers. And covenant keepers are the people kind of like your counselors, because typically when people get upset in marriages and relationships, they go to their friends to hear what they want to hear and make rational decisions. But what usually is done is that those covenant keepers or my wife and I will look at the financial situation, and we will look and see. Long story short, we will make sure that there's equal parenting on both sides, no matter what. And a lot of people will say, well, how do you enforce this if you're all over the country? Great question. So again, one, it always comes to, the maturity of the couple that, decide to embark on this marriage, so that, if something were to happen, you could be mature enough to handle this on your own. But if we have to use necessary force, we do have, a security team that can escort either one to exchange, for the drop-off, pickup, whatever. And if we don't have brothers, who are not able to make that scenario happen, then, either spouse can go to a private security firm or a police officer, show them the contract and show them, exactly what's supposed to happen. Because you get, like I said, the authentication with the state, you could, it would be a hassle, but you could get a court order. But again, I would say to make everything easier is you can, work with a private security team to say, hey, I have to go pick up my children, just make sure nothing goes on between me and the spouse. But we do make sure that there's equal parenting right down the middle between the divorced, the divorcees. But I will say that we have yet to have that happen. So, we do have the protocols in place, but we've yet to have that situation happen.
Okay. All right. That's kind of fair. If in regards to any breakup or the process of divorce, it is a very lengthy process, the state divorce, depending on your state and how you go about in the paper process, that when it involves children, there's always going to be some form of custody battle. Not saying that child support doesn't really come to play on the average, depending on the man, but normally there's always custody battle of how much time the children should spend time with the father, how much time the child should spend with the mother. And I think that's very disingenuous for the child, especially when the state comes in, because I heard from a lot of women say that, the state will favor you to make you get a chance to see your children from this woman that is divorcing you. But from what I'm hearing from a lot of men, particularly brothers, that these women are making it very hard for them to see their kids, the ones that want to be involved. And there's no real punishment for that.
Yeah, it's a political pawn, you know, and again, they know that. They know that there's no consequences for them if they're playing the make the man, go jump through hoops in order for him to see his children. And, and that's why you're seeing it now where a lot of gentlemen, you're like, you know what, I'm not having kids. I'm not getting married because I'm not going to go through this because you want to, dangle my children over our head, which we both made equally.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you carried them, carried the child for 9 months, but you wouldn't have done it without my seed.
Mm-hmm.
And, because the children come out of them, they have this idea that it's their child, and you're just the donor.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so
I see.
for the brothers who kind of have the idea where, you know what, I'm not going to let her put me through this. You know what? I'm with it. As much as I want to support marriage, I am pro-marriage, I am pro-family. I understand, the MGTOW movement. I understand the SYSBM movement. Those brothers make some fairly valid points. The only reason why, I'm kind of out of that fight is because I met my wife at 21 and been with her ever since.
Oh, so you met your wife during a time before all this messiness happened? Because I think you're like a Gen X, late 70s baby. Am I right? Okay.
No, I'm a millennial. I just turned 31 in October.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you're millennial. Oh, my fault. Sorry. Yeah, I get mixed up. Because I get mixed with a lot of brothers. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So if you met her at around the late 2000s, still a fighting shot because most people that's product of the 80s, like both of us.
I just squeaked out. I was 89.
Yeah, you were the last of the Mohegans, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah, and a Libra scale too. Shout out to the Libra. Yep. Anyway, but hey, we got it's a balanced scale. It's a necessity. But anyway, one thing, probably when you met her, she was already groomed or trained in a certain way, depending on her upbringing. That you and her made it work.
Actually, that wasn't the case.
Okay.
I met. She was 19. She was a product of a divorce home. But what happened was at that time, even though she wasn't, groomed, to be a wife per se, I still saw something in her where it's like if I work with her and and coach her up and see what that baggage is coming from, then I could see where the wife is in this person. And it took a little bit of time and investment in building, but it eventually blossomed right on out.
Okay. I'm looking at the chat room, and a lot of people are taking offense to, I guess, the screen share or the screensaver that Mr. Thompson put up about indigenous pictures. I don't know why y'all guys complain about the imagery. You know what I'm saying? This is
I can't see it. So
no, don't worry about it. Trust me, you don't want to see. Well, it's kind of nice if you see it. I'll share the link in a second for you if you want. But the chat room is getting very interesting. Like I said, MJ is looking nonsense. This guy named CC something, I don't know what he's about. Find out we're going to be in indigenous marriage. This is something different to let everybody know that's chat in the private chat that this is something that I'm learning firsthand. If you notice right now with a lot of black people, our actual contract marital rate of anything is under 30%. What I mean by it, the average marriage of black people is 29%. So that 29%, that is vouched by the state by contract marriage.
Right.
Now, in regards to the actual marriage, like indigenous marriage, there's no percentage on that at this time. Just like most average black person or black people, they're shacking up, like I said earlier in this broadcast, for a reason, because they don't want to be in no contract agreement, man and woman. The only thing that is going to be bound by any sort of contract is when the child comes into play, particularly man, when you sign that birth certificate, which is a contract. Oh, you did not know that, you dumb dudes? So you're going to have to understand and have an understanding of contract law. Hell, I might have to invest my time to start learning about contracts, because this is one of the few things, moving forward in the 21st century, you got to be well-versed of what you're signing into. Absolutely. I know a lot of Negroes want to avoid it and say, I'm leaving my life and I have to deal with saying I have to sign a contract. No, you must understand contracts for your self-preservation, period. Period. Whether you are shooting up the club with a chick in her womb or not, you should understand contracts, period. And like I said, Hassan, you're well understanding of contracts, because you will not be in the dream what you are right now if you didn't take the time to understand the basic contracts. I have Phil Gallone that talks about contracts and agreements as well. Same for Mr. Inky, Stinky Inky. They always talk about, say, before you confirm anything, you always read before you sign.
Absolutely.
But the average black person, even the people that's in entertainment, like, let's, for example, Meg Thee Stallion. One time, a year and a half ago, she complained about the contract she signed with, I forgot the record label she signed to. She discovered that she was only getting thousands, while the people that she signed to are racking up the millions. She did not like that. She expressed that on a radio podcast, live. And I'm saying, at any age, it is your responsibility to understand what you get into. I don't care if you're 18 years old. Now, if you're under 18, yeah, they'll screw with you and get put in you sign, because they'll tempt you to sign something, because you're not going to have no understanding of basic understanding of what you're reading. It's natural. But once you pass that 18-year range, it is your soulful duty to get a grip and understand now. Learn. If you're not learning, learn it now. Because Absolutely. By law, through America, you're not considered a quote-unquote adult in their eyes, in the society, is at 18 years of age. So by the time your 18th birthday hit, you are considered a legal adult in their eyes. I mean, they could do anything to you. You get me?
Yep.
Hell, your parents, particularly your mothers, will throw your black ass out the house at 18 years old, which has happened constantly, which I don't approve of, but that's another story. But they do it because they know.
We'll definitely do something about that, yeah.
Yeah, and then the reason why I'm not getting to it, that's another story. But like I said, they watch it because they know that I don't have to offend or deal with you, because by law I don't have to do it, because if I did some drastic to you, I could be put under the jail. Oh, you did not know that? Brothers and sisters, did you not know that? That they did something like that, they could be locked up? Okay, you now know. But nonetheless, everybody's under some form of contract. So when you reach adult age, make sure you make a conscious effort. And mind you, Google is your friend. You have the internet. They could teach you how to understand contract, how to read shit. There's no excuse now. Maybe 30 years ago, or I could say, bet I'll do you bet. Maybe 22 years ago, this will not be possible. But since the creation of Google back in 1998, everything is now possible. Everything you want to know or learn is in your fingertips with the internet now. Yep, Google's a tool. Use it wisely. So, yeah. So let me see what else the people say in the chat. And remember, if y'all want questions, call in. And I know most of y'all don't want to call because y'all popping in the chat room because of this title with imagery. Like I'm convincing y'all should get married indigenous. I'm not convincing a lot of people of a lot of things. And what's good, ABC? Call in if you can, bro. I'm just here trying to present something for people to think differently, you know. And to be honest with you, Hassan, I remember that same conversation now that I asked you this earlier before this podcast about this. because we don't talk about certain things like this. We talk about, a lot of black people say they don't want to get married, especially black men, because of the contract agreement between state and themselves.
Yeah.
And they don't want no agreement. Hell, Ice Cube said he want to renegotiate a contract for Black America. So it boils down to everybody wants to have their own form of contract that will be favored to them. And a lot of men and women don't make the conscious effort to really create their own version of a contract that will be suitable for their preservation, for their lineage, all that good stuff. So
I'll jump on this as well, because yes, fellas do have a good point, a very logical point when it comes to not wanting to sign up for marriage because of the legal aspect. But what I will also say is that a lot of brothers don't want to get married because they don't have any dick discipline. And what I mean by that is, you wanna fuck into your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, and then you turn 60 years old, and now what do you have to show for it? You know what I mean? And again, and I'm not saying that every man should get married, but what I am saying is a lot of us aren't taking the women that are wife material and who are marriage material and building, the families that everybody say that they want. You're not going to be able to fuck all day and night. You got stuff to do. You know what I mean? When I talk to couples, before they get married, I ask them, what is your purpose for getting married? Why are you wanting to tie the knot other than y'all like having sex with each other? And y'all, enjoy the occasional night out. And a lot of times I can't get a solid answer. And it's like, y'all really had to think about what do y'all really want to get married for? Because when you think about particular couples, they produce a product. And whether that product is an actual product, like the Fords, make vehicles, or, a family makes entertainers, like the Jacksons. Your family has to come out with some sort of product that, that's going to benefit your community. But we don't look at marriage that way. Ladies want the endless romantic, Disney run off to the sunset, type deal, and the guys just want, sex on command. A lot of them, not all, but when you're talking marriage, you're talking about a serious commitment, not only for yourself, but not to only keep your bloodline going, but to solve your community's problems. I met Dick Gregory, civil rights activist of the 60s and 70s, was big into fasting, that type of deal. And when I met him, that's what he told me, is that you don't have kids, on accident. We have too many oops babies in our communities. And these, your children are supposed to be bred and groomed to be the next leaders in your community. But we want to just raise them until they get 18 and make them figure it out on themselves. And that's what we got, a lot of people who don't know how to do shit, who don't know how to compete, who don't know how to, contend to be the best on the market, because the parents don't, put them in a situation or, set them up for success. We literally feed them, clothe them, put them in a sport to keep them busy, make sure they graduate high school. Oh, I'm a parent. I did my job.
Yeah, but it's interesting you mentioned that a lot of parents today, not like back in the day, they only, I would say, to be honest, their purpose is like, have a child, feed it, clothe it if necessary, and let the state teach them, like groom them to what they see fit, so that way they could operate into a society for someone else's control. And what I mean by control, that they're preparing them for these non-black people to control over their kids, to keep them rich. That's how I look at it. Amos Wilson said it, and I run an interview that he did with Mr. Milter back in the late 80s, maybe early 90s, in regards to education of youth, or I like to call it education for, what do they call it? Education for subjugation. I don't know if that's the title I call it, but the thing that he said personally, that as black people, black men particularly, that you must train your sons to be thinkers, critical thinkers, so that way they could able to outcompete and take control and give orders to others, not take orders. You know?
Right.
It's a slave-master relationship that has not dissipated out of the mind of the psyche of the Negro for now 300 years. Or actually for the last 155 years now.
Yeah.
There are
absolutely.
very few that's taken the challenge to get away from ownership, well, actually get away from being owned to be masters of their destiny overall. And I only see, moving forward, your children are going to have no choice to do that, because the system is not going to feed not only us, but it's going to have a hard time feeding their own people.
Yeah.
And Brother Amos said this years ago. Actually, he said this decades ago. That you think he's going to have time to take care of you and his children? No, he's going to make a choice. And the choice he makes, you black people are not going to like.
Yeah.
You know? Look at this situation with this virus. It has stopped the world for months. And black people took the blow, especially here in this country, the most. Mm-hmm. And now people have to figure out how they're going to now manage through this new industrial age, or I call this new technical age that's upon us now. This new wave that is going to be accelerating now with the heighten of faster broadband internet, 5G. All these questions that's now on our heads, that's upon us, that you're going to have to quickly think how you're going to survive.
Yep.
They're going to have to make it a way where we're going really back in the days where there was the top and there are bottom. There was no such thing as no middle. A middle is a created construct. Black people don't know this. That the middle that we indulge in, or said we're in middle class, that was a creation in itself. But it was not something that is sustainable. It never really is supposed to exist. And it's not going to be here for long. You know? Throughout history, there was always two that were rulers and there was ones that were peasants. And they really want to bring it back. But it's going to be totally different now. The way how you see now, you're going to see less people, more technology run and control people.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
Go
ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I said my thing.
No, I was just gonna say, and you're gonna see it. You know, once this housing, once the housing crash, goes down and the market crashes, a lot of this relationship riffraff is gonna go right out the window, because a lot of people are fighting. A lot of people are fighting over first world problems. You don't hear, people in third world countries worried about, who has the most swag, or who has the thickest hips. They're trying to survive out there. Imagine if you're only making $1 a day and you got to feed a family of 4 plus 3, with your 3 kids. Relationships are about survival. Yes, you want a little bit of romance. Yes, you want a little bit of intimacy and sexuality. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure there's a roof over your head and food, for you and your family. And when this market crashes, you're going to see a lot of people throw all the extra out the window, because they're going to realize, oh shit, maybe I need to start thinking about what's important instead of thinking about, what's going to blow my back out every single night.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that that's not a good or bad thing, but there are more things to life, especially if you're a black male that's been nurtured and trained in the society to be a buck. And normally that's by design, and your mother helps facilitate your buckness. because everybody's trained and this is a learned behavior, that you got to be more beyond as a young man going becoming a man as a penis. You're going to have to be effective. You're going to have to produce something.
Right.
This will only respect people that are productive and producers, not consumers. When men start to act like women, Hassan, and be just as consuming like women, you're in trouble.
Yep.
Because now the world starts to move in a stalemate. It stalls. It stagnates like water. It does not move at all. And you know when things sit still, it rots and defecates. It creates mosquitoes, parasites. But like I said, and another thing that people did not know, when this thing happened, this virus thing came out and things start shutting down, you see other groups of people teaming up more than ever during this. Even some of them go as far as made a deal to get married by the state. Did you know that
marriage went up
in a 2019 going on 2020, some parts of it, that marriage for other groups of people went up?
Marriage went up.
Started stagnate and go down?
Yep. Shout out to Erica Williams and Glenda Cameron for bringing the stats. Yeah.
But I'm not surprised because they don't have the Negroid training, the slave mindset that was instilled in us to operate and move during the shifts of the environment. Other groups of people know when things get rough, they have to band and stick together. Screw the differences. That's why you see a lot of non-black women. They know the environment's changing, so if they can't get the Brad of their dreams, they're going to look for that black man. Rather, most women don't get mad or not. They look for somebody that has a mindset that if they can work with certain things, they will deal with.
And guess what? Those non-black women are coming for a lot of brothers. A lot of them.
Because the black man, like Mr. Igmore said, they have a matriarch mindset that they will work with certain problems with certain women because they dealt with black women, they're nurturers for most of their life. They've been groomed to be, I guess, submissive to women. And a lot of non-black women see that, and they want that. So as much times black women complain about the boys that become men, you have really raised these boys. Now, if the black man was raised these boys, I would look at ourselves funny, brother. I will have to say, yes, I'll put the blame on us because we failed. But I can't do that because most of these boys have not been raised by a father for the last 40 and maybe close to 50 years. Consistently.
Yeah. And then, and the people want to throw the blame on us. Well, you guys aren't producing. And, again, when you look at the numbers, we're producing quite well. But, they want every black man to make $250,000 a year, and that's a whole other story. But again, when you ask about the so-called non-production of these boys, what the ladies will say is, well, there's no man in the house. Granted, that is true, but it was your responsibility to put male figures in front of him.
Of course.
And that doesn't just mean the basketball coach. The basketball coach, yes, you can, sports will teach you a lot of lessons. Don't get me wrong. I was a high school football player. I played in college, learned a lot of lessons. But you need, that everyday mentor to be in that boy's face to make him accountable for his actions, making him do more than what's required. Even in the dating world, a lot of brothers don't understand. If you're not as attractive, you have to compensate. If you don't make a lot of money, you have to compensate. You have to do whatever you can to make yourself appeasable to the market. And what a lot of guys are doing is, sitting back with a passive-aggressive kind of attitude because they're not getting what they want instead of just producing. And where do they get that from? Mom. Most times.
There you go. Now, go on. I'm listening. I'm listening. Yeah. I was going to say, to be honest with you, Hassan, when I do my streams and broadcasts, this we might consider as what they want to call bashing the sisters. This might be offensive. They might feel that you keep putting the blame game on women. And I said, it's possibly so. But you got to understand the outcomes that you complain about is what you're producing. Only thing a man can do is try. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say really quickly, because it comes off as bashing because a lot of these sisters never heard this before.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't your everyday rah-rah session. You're strong, you're independent, you don't need men because you're better than men, you're outproduced better than men, you have the most education, you have the most businesses. If it's opposite of that, then it doesn't sound appealing. When you know about how men and women communicate, men are logical, women are emotional. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but, when a man comes at a logical argument and saying that women, you didn't do this right, it don't feel too well. So that's why they respond with, oh, you're bashing us. We're not bashing you. We're looking at what is, and we're, holding your feet to the fire like we should have done a long time ago. But since everybody caped for you since the 60s, you've never had to face the consequences, and that fight, you've never felt that torch before like the men have.
Mm-hmm.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And, certain things with certain space, and I can see why there should be a pushback. I get it. I understand because this is not common in our communities to hold the opposite accountable. And, a lot of women complain personally, saying that, well, men are never held accountable at all. I say, yes, they are. We live in the United States of America. And, as a man, black man, accountability is a necessity. You do something wrong, it could cost you your life in this country.
And if you're not held accountable, it costs the country money. So there's that too.
Oh yeah, thank you. That also goes. So there are many ways men are held accountable for. If you think about the non-black man per se, child support was an institution created by this country because throughout the European's history here in this country or just anywhere where he resides, he has a history of creating bastardization. And now that the country was at an all-time high, during the early parts of the 20th century, could not afford bastardization no longer. They know what's been going on during the creation of America. You know that, Hassan?
Yeah. Yep.
So because now the country is moving forward and they can't keep ignoring it, because now saying this is now a problem. Because these men that are married to their wives, they're just getting up, walking out of their responsibility, leaving the children, leaving the mother destitute with nothing, and they go out and create a new life. In their mind, they said, no, this is no good. It's not because it's not a good look for European men, but it's not good for them to really compensate for your dereliction. So what's happened, they had to sit down in a special council and said, we're just going to create an institution called child support. Yep. And you know what it did? It kind of slowed down European dereliction. It still was there, but it was not at the height up to 1930s. After the 30s, it actually, because remember, they always go by data, and it started to slowly go down. Because now if you're a European that's making money, doing good, or whatever case may be, you were going to lose in regards to resource, which is your pocketbooks for going out of your marriage.
Yep.
And, a lot of things, when money is involved, men have to react.
Yeah.
Because no man doesn't want to operate in this environment destitute and broke.
Not at all.
Not at all. So they said, okay, all right, I won't go around creating a new family. I'll stick with this woman that I marry, et cetera, et cetera. And he eventually comes to heal. So, what's this? Oh, let me just check if mine's on the board. Go ahead.
What?
I'll just check. Okay. All right, no, it's on the board. So, like I said, men are always held accountable in America, especially black men. Black men, you can't afford to be carrying on some way. And I'll be honest with you, woman, the men that you put it on the most, that you're going to put the state on, you know these men are able to pay. The men that you like to fucking suck, that you go around and get, oops, baby. And we all know about fraternity fraud is creeping up here in this country as well. I saw a video of a woman was happy with her, I guess, husband or mate. And this dude was always had a question about the daughter, if it's his. So one of them days he went and did the DNA test to check if the child was his. And lo and behold, it's not his baby. So like any man, instead of going in front of his baby mama or wife, you want to call it, in rage, he did it in a very subtle manner. He came in one day in the house and surprised her with a nice garment of gifts, particularly one gift. She sit there with a smile in her face, or upon her face, begins to tear up the gift, slowly but surely, going through package after package, wrapped up so and refined or fine. And at the end of the gift, there is a piece of paper, Hassan. And as she opens the gift, she looked with her eyes open, big eye, with shock, saying, "What is this?" It's a DNA test. The baby's mine. And she looked and read, said, "Oh shit, you figured it out?" "Yeah, all this time I did not know, but now I know." And she looks at with such disgust and shock that this man would go out his way to go get a DNA test behind her back to question if that is his child. But I said, look at you, woman, how wicked, wretched woman you are, to go around and fucking suck a man and put baby on another man.
Right.
Shame on you. Shame on you. You should
Oh, and
be... Yeah, right.
Go
ahead.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, is this the one where the sister was in an orange dress and it was like the daughter's birthday or something?
Exactly.
Okay. So the really messed up part was a lot of the sisters who saw that video, their response was, well, why'd you have to do it on the baby's birthday? Totally disregarding the fact that the child's not his, but they all were like, well, how come you couldn't wait to do it at a better time? Why'd you have to ruin the baby's birthday? And I'm sitting here like, you're really going to let that go over your head. You're really going to let the fact that this child's not his, and you went to, how come you did it on the little girl's special day?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I kind of knew. I was like, all right, this y'all, y'all are really just over your rockers on this one.
But But it's interesting you mentioned that, because did I share this on my social media? I don't know if I did. But if I did, I don't think I got much attention off this. Now that I think about this. And I wonder, how many women play this game with a lot of your baby daddies? Because most of you are not married. Let's keep it 100. Black communities ain't getting married like that. So I make sure that the dude that doesn't waste his time to go check the DNA test if that really is his. I will make it a mandatory every man, especially black men. If a woman says she's pregnant, good. You get that DNA test. You check, make sure this BITCH is not sitting there putting a child and putting you as the father. No more surrogate fathers up in here. We're not going to have no stepfather, no bastard babies that the man. See, and the beautiful thing about DNA tests now, Hassan, it was never presented to the public like that, used in regards to matters like this. But lo and behold, it's being used now properly for situations like this.
Yeah.
Which I'm happy about. Because, and look at this right here. I'm going to read this and say that, why you as a woman feel comfortable doing that? Now, if a man sit there and said, I knocked up a woman and he either is in a marriage or in a relationship, You as a woman, you will be not only mad, but you will pack up and go. But me as a man, knowing that this is not my child and I married you, or let's say I'm with a boyfriend, girlfriend, I shouldn't have the entitlement to sit there and tell you, pack up your shit and get the fuck out.
Yeah.
That's funny. And I'm reading the comments now because a lot of people not liking this video, and I see people watching this. And I got
that's fine. That's gonna happen.
It's fine. And they said that they will not like this. Some women, well, one woman, I ain't gonna say names, because it's bashing women. And it's funny that the truth really hurts them, you know.
And like I said again, a lot of times they've never heard the type of language coming from guys before. They hear the they've heard 1,000 Derrick Jacksons, from the most attractive ones to the ugly ones, praising them, kissing their ass, telling them that they can do no wrong. So when a man actually challenges their actions, they literally, oh, you're bashing us, you're saying black women are bad, and it's like, no, take the feelings out and listen to what brothers are saying. And here's the thing, Brother Chaos, is that what a lot of ladies don't understand is that a lot of men aren't having these conversations. Men are tired of having to, fight and fight and fight just for an opinion, just like the brother who called said, like to get his opinion shut down. So you know what men do? Men move by their feet.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have time. I'm not going to have time to argue. I'm not going to have time to argue with you. I'd rather just go my separate way. You can sit here and continue to bash us, and I'm going to go over here and do my own thing. End the story.
End the story, yeah. Yeah. And my thing with the so-called pill talk, I'm not fond of pills, but there is some importance to the rhetoric in itself, to certain times. But like I said, most men, they'll say, why waste time going back and forth? It's not getting nowhere. It's not productive. So I just move my feet, and do my thing over here. You get me?
Yep.
And I think the reason why it's not being really effective because enough men are doing it in droves, Hassan. They got already enough dudes that's been programmed in the system to soothe their needs, to be, be submissive to them when it seemed convenient. And let me tell you something, ladies. Has that been really effective? Now we have this conversation. You talk about the protection. You're getting enough protection already because some of those that are very much submissive to you, or I should say they're not really that submissive at all. They think like you. Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Is that the answer? Because usually when a man's operating in his purpose and moving in some way, he doesn't be under your bosom and be trained under you from 0 to 18 years of age. I remember Roger said it best that these children do become a problem once they hit puberty. And then that's when the woman really doesn't want no desire to deal with them. But it goes back again, you have a propensity for control, and it's going to be a downfall as a woman. You're not designed to be dealing with control. A man only deals with control because he has a certain mindset, he has a certain logic with him as a male to handle control properly because he has to make the hard decisions at the end of the day. Some just and some not unjust, but it has to be made. The average woman doesn't have that capacity. I don't give a crap you work for corporate America. You're not making those hard decisions.
And here's the thing is, and shout out to Kevin Samuels for bringing this valid point out. And I actually did the research myself. Is that the largest employer of women is government and retail.
And you see, the retail apocalypse now is now accelerating now. One time the apocalypse was already showing its status 2 years ago. With this situation, it's actually accelerated drastically. The only reason why a lot of these corporations still haven't set up shop is because they have not found a way where automation will be needed, where it's completely autonomous, where machines will do the work for it.
It's coming. Don't worry. It's coming.
It's coming. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's coming, but it's not going to be fully effectively until years down the line. But till then, most people understand most jobs that employ women are these areas, government jobs.
Yeah. And so the reason why they're able to, snap their necks at us the way that they can is because they're given these jobs, especially with with affirmative action. And so watch
which really was designed for our people, but it was turned around. But go on. Yeah.
Right. True. And so when this economy crashes, like I said, you're going to see everyone's tunes change real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Real fast. Yeah. And so, and a lot of those brothers are like, I'm not waiting for that. I'm not waiting till, you're destitute, broken, desperate to try to make amends now when you spent this whole time saying you didn't need me. Now that you don't have a choice, I refuse to be your last option. And that's why I said guys are walking out. Now, do I want that? Absolutely not. My wife is black. I have black children. I definitely want to see our community flourish. But at the same time, again, for the brothers who are MGTOW, SYSBM, or IBMO, whatever sector that they're in, I see the validity in it. Mm-hmm. I honestly see it. And so until, there's a clear agreement down the middle where everyone's happy and everyone has their assigned roles and assigned agendas, it's gonna be an ongoing problem for a while. Mm-hmm. And these black communities, Detroit, Atlanta, Chicago, Baltimore, these communities are going to continue to deteriorate because no one's stepping up in leadership.
Mm. Well, actually, the leadership can be there, but there's going to be it's opposition now in the 21st century in regards to black leadership, unfortunately. The funny thing with leadership is, will the people want to be lead? I hear always talking about they're looking for Messiah and leaders, but the actions show otherwise, unfortunately. The only leader you're going to get is somebody that is groomed and fed by the dominant institutions and dominant societies, and they'll present you a leader. Just like these, you pick your poison, which president you want to be selected next. They give you poison number 1, and they give you the existing poison that you're consuming right now. At the end of the day, it's poison nonetheless. It will still hurt you. It might kill you, but it will hurt you nonetheless. But if these are the options that's laid upon you, then you are really screwed as a people.
Yeah.
All right. And it is, at the end, our fault as people, while we're in the position we're in now. And I'm not saying based on different gender, but just as a collective, because we are a collective. I don't care what men and women want to keep throwing shades. We look at ourselves as a collective. We operate as a collective. You got to stop thinking that we are separate from the aggregate. A lot of black men want to think that, but the problem is without women, you're just nothing in regards to if women don't play a role. You're just only a one-man desert amongst wolves that a pack of wolves could eat you alive. And everybody is tightened up in not only the relationship part, but in regards to unity, in regards to any situation that will come down the line. What's this?
Yeah, and here's where. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, and like I said, for people that's typing away in the nice chat room, I appreciate it. If you're that serious to the conversation, the number and call number is there. I am not going to sit there and read any questions like that because the questions are very small right now and not much people participate in chat. So if you really want to voice your opinion, you can call in. All right, go on.
And what I was going to say is that, and this is where your individual leadership is going to have to take place. And again, that's why families are so important because, like you said, your assigned leaders to you are bred by the elites. And so if you want a community ran how you need it to be run with your agenda and your best interest and your family's best interest, then you got to do it with yourself. A nation is nothing but a collection of families. And when you have, even if it's as small as 10 families, you have 10 families moving in one direction rather than everyone moving in separate directions trying to move forward. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead.
When you think about true power in this country, we black folks get excited when we see a couple that are business owners, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking to see more couples who are going into entrepreneurship and owning things, but then you have to move like an entrepreneur. Like think about it. If you were to, try to date a woman in the Ford family, if your family doesn't have any bread, more than likely you're not getting in.
Facts.
That's an exclusive club. I don't know the people who own General Motors, but you know what I mean? Like for people, imagine if Mark Zuckerberg had a daughter and 18 years from now, my son tried to marry his daughter, he's going to look at my family's social economic class and say, we're not doing that. Because they understand in order to keep that power, you have to be able to, blend two powerful families together. You have to, when you have money, when you have status, you have power, you have to move in such a calculated direction that, people, it's like I said, your family's like a club almost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, fathers are important, because when your daughter brings a man home, he's going to look at him and say, you're not breeding with him. You're not marrying him.
Yeah.
As much as she want to fight it, the man can see when this brother's not going to be productive or not going to be a good husband, or he's using his daughter for a piece of ass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and it goes on in other communities, don't get me wrong, but again, when you are so powerful, you know what I mean, you have to have so many requirements in order to even entertain one of their family members. That's why when you go to, African countries, Indian countries, in order to show interest in their daughter, what do you have to pay? You have to pay a dowry, a financial contribution. Yeah, you have to pay a financial contribution to show that you not only are interested in the daughter, but your family knows that, she'll be taken care of and you decide to marry off. But again, we're not thinking in those type of terms, because again, everything is, this person, rides me the hardest, or this person, blows my back out, the hardest, and, I argue with them the least. And with no elders to guide who people are dating is literally a free for all. And that's why a lot of times
actually the free for all for the women, to be honest with you, Hassan. Because normally women need to be guided for actual mate selection. But go on, I'm listening.
So when you ask for a deregulated sex market, a deregulated dating market, and this is essentially what we have, this is what you get. You want to sleep with people freely. You want to date freely with no consequences. You don't want to get married because marriage, being a spouse is oppressive somehow. Even if you're being taken care of, it's oppressive. But whatever. But you can't move forward if we don't have a foundation. And I keep going back to that example with the Fords, because I don't know if you're a big NFL fan, but the parents of the Detroit Lions just gave ownership to their daughter.
Oh, wow. They have no male errands? Pass it up?
I guess not. I don't know if she's married, or I don't know what the situation is, but yeah, they just gave ownership to the daughter. You know what I mean? So imagine if what could happen in I'll just say in your family. I'm just using this as a complete hypothetical situation. Let's say y'all owned Leroy's Chicken and Waffles. Leroy's Chicken and Waffles, successful business for 25 years. You made $400,000 a year, in profit, and when you retire or you pass away and you're able to give that restaurant to your son or your grandson, and not only does it provide a business opportunity, but that legacy goes on because you're able to pass that off. And the only thing that we're really passing off right now are mortgages and debt.
Debt. Yeah. And you're not building no wealth at all. At all.
You know what I mean? And so that's why individual leadership is so important. Like, for example, I'm building a silver collection for each of my children. So right now, each child has 5 ounces of silver, and I'm gonna and add because silver's going up in price. Investment tip for anybody who's listening: silver is supposed to go up in the next 5 years. So get in while it's cheap. Right now, it's about between $22 and $26 an ounce. And so, you let that sit, and that may be worth something in the next 5 years because it's projected to go up to between $50 and $80. But anyway, no matter what happens to me, when they become of age, they will have those silver pieces, to whether to convert to dollars, convert to Bitcoin, but it'll be something I will be able to give to them, once I, bestow that upon them, and whatever they decide to do with that silver, my goal is to give them at least 50 ounces apiece, and they can, take that silver and do whatever they need to with it. But, having that vision for your family is what's going to move your family forward. And a lot of times we make one big step, and we're like, okay, we can rest now. I did my part.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not gonna get it, especially with the type of problems that we have, and as you may know, you're not going to be able to save everyone in the Black community. And to be honest, I'm not looking to save everyone. I when I was younger, I used to be all the way hotep, trying to save anybody and everybody. But at the same time, I want to work with those who want the same things that I want. And if we're in agreement, we're going to move forward. And everybody else, good luck to you.
And, somebody wrote in the comment saying the host is a foreigner, so what is it to him? Interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, man. Not everybody is willing to be safe, and a lot of Black people today don't want to be safe. Let's keep it real honest. Because a lot of our people today are comfortable. And I tell you, the comfort is slowly drying up as the days and the times come. Because times will get harder. Not saying we won't survive, because we have gone through worse as a people, but this is going to be very much a challenge for us moving forward in the 21st century.
Yeah.
If you think about back, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you can go right ahead.
No, I was just going to add in, and that's what it's going to take. Like I said, ladies make their own money, men make their own money, and so everybody, guys can cook and clean now, and so, they've been doing it, but we're looking at each other like, well, how are you useful to me?
Mm-hmm.
And once that economy hits, it ain't gonna matter. You're gonna find somebody, that can that you can get along with and ride the wave out. People laugh about polygamy, but that's probably gonna be a reality for some folks.
Hassan, just to interject.
Go ahead.
The Black community has been engaged in polygamy for some time. The only problem is that women are going to be down with polygamy to the dudes that they're sexually attracted. Hands down. End of story.
Oh, of course.
If they're not sexually attracted to the man, they're not going to be down to sharing no man. A lot of women said they won't share man.
But they do.
They're lying. They're lying to themselves because of the dude that you want, you're attracted to, that you want to engage in promiscuous, adulterous sex and all the above, you will be under his little program. You're going to be that side chick or the wife you really want a title that you find comfortable, you're going to do it. This country, it might not be sanctioned by law state-wise, but outside any other form of contract, it can be arranged and it could work out.
Oh, absolutely. And here's what I was. Let me just clarify. I'm not saying that any Joe Schmo is going to be able to have access to multiple women like that. What I'm saying, because the economy is going to be so tough that the Chads and Tyrones are going to have to eventually find work too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so they're going to have to, survive however they survive. And so, the allegedly acclaimed, homosexuals are going to have to work. Otherwise, they're going to be out on the street. I'm just saying, allegedly, because, we don't know everybody's situation. I don't typically believe when to say someone is a homosexual because because I've heard it where, she was enjoying the sex so much that she just moved him in, and it was just no conversation. So, but anyway,
it's a nice toy, a real toy. Instead of toy they like to shove up in their vaginal canal. And sometimes that will mess you up. Ladies, I tell y'all, black people gotta cut back on certain things. Can't be engaged in that, men and women. Y'all when y'all ready to get the nasty and it doesn't feel good because y'all been engaged in self-love too long, So after a while, you find the right cock and you enjoy it, you go say, well, shoot, man, come live with me. I got a place for you. I'll make your bed. I got your Xbox One, your PlayStation 4, or the new one, PlayStation 5 coming. And hell, screw it. We even go virtual reality. We'll go get the Oculus 2. Yeah, I don't know about the new tech. It's out here. This is a new entertainment value. The brothers to enjoy. They want to play their NBA and their NFL, wherever, new game that come out. But anyway, like I said, they have room for the homosexual, when it's convenient, when they're ready. And he's going to be down with her program. Either or he's going to be a bum in the street. It's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And all I was saying was, for the men who are able to be in that arena, it won't be as much as a downplay as it's portrayed here on social media. It'll be out in the open. I'm attracted to this person. He's taking care of me. I'm good. And then, for the ones who are allegedly on the beta side, there may be a possibility where those same ladies, know that they can get the financial security over there. They bust it open a couple times and, and that guy's good. All I'm saying is depending on how bad it gets out here, economy-wise, people are open to anything, in order for survival. I didn't think OnlyFans was going to be as big as it was, and look what that turned into.
It turned to your personal strip joint on your cell phone. And you know how we make it rain. We can't make it – well, actually, you can make it rain fake-wise. Get your dollar bills and have your screen share on while the woman's on the pole, and you just pull them the roll of dollars and say, pass me, take this, throw it on the phone. Take that ass, girl. Pop that, pop that. You know what I'm saying? And after that, you have to sneaker off a little Cash App here and there or some Bitcoin, because she ain't going to keep shaking the pole or less. You get me?
Well, I told myself if I was to ever go on OnlyFans, which I don't really have a reason to, but if I ever were to, I would, get a stack of ones. And if I don't, do you get the chat? Like, are you in a Zoom? Like, I don't really know how. But anyway, if I was able to get into a chat with them, I'll just put the money in my lap and just throw it up in the air. Like, I'm making it rain virtually for you. And then, when she's like, well, send me a cash or a donation. Like, sorry, baby, I only got cash. Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. Mm-hmm. You make it a virtual experience just like they do it for you. They dance for you. You take your money, throw it up in the air, And then when she asked where the money is, like, I only got cash. Sorry.
Yeah, man. Just pop on when she said, I want to see you. Where's my money? Oh, you want to see it? Turn the camera, sweetie. All right, here he goes. And just throw it up near. Remember, just throw it right in the phone. The phone's going to drop when you do this. I take a roll, and I just throw it on the phone, and the phone just tip over and say, oh, there you go. See that? There's your money. And then you put your phone back and just shut it off. Yeah.
So again, I've been out of the dating world for so long. Like when I met my wife, like Tinder was, I think back when around that time it was called Hot or Not. It wasn't even called Tinder. Like there was an app called Hot or Not, where it was like kind of like the exact same premise, but you know, it kind of fell to the wayside, and Tinder took over. And you know, I've never been on Tinder, Bumble. You know, I don't really know how those dating app works. I know you swipe, but you know, I'm so far removed. So when I had to investigate on what OnlyFans was, I was like, what? You know, what is this? Like, y'all could just strip online now? Like, you know, so.
Okay.
Yep, it's one of those deals. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to open one line for probably one call since everybody's not calling, and we could probably call it today.
Works for me.
Open line. Who's this?
What's going on, Gary?
Oh, what's up, Big J? JYC.
Yeah. So I missed the subject because I know you started off without a guest, and then he came on later. What was the thing? I heard y'all were talking about some websites, dating websites. What was that pertaining to?
Well, Jay, I know you don't go back to the playbacks on a lot of these broadcasts on T.R.S. I can't give you a summary. The whole title, what is said on Facebook or YouTube, this deal with marriage, indigenous marriage. As far as I'm gonna say.
I got you. Okay. Now you brought me back on track. Yeah. So what is it? Is marrying, when you say indigenous? I mean, can you get more specific? Did I miss something? You talking about women that's African American women? Are you talking about women that are sovereign? What do you mean?
So basically, what we're talking about as far as indigenous marriage, and I appreciate you calling in, is that basically through I'm part of a tribe called the Aboriginal Republic of North America, which is ARNA. We have a practice for those who want to get married. We do private contracts. We do no state-sanctioned marriage. The children don't have your traditional birth certificates, so you don't have a contract with the state. And so the reason why we have this method is obviously, you know, guys are not treated fairly in the courts. And so this puts this basically gives marriage, in the terms of the man. And so for the men who feel that their woman is worthy, who has sense, you know, who is going to be there in the long term, you know, they can orchestrate a private contract in order for them to carry out their marriage in a long-term relationship without the hassle of being monitored or, being taken advantage of by the state if something were to go left.
Okay. So, let me ask you a question though. Is that
yes, sir?
Is that recognized by the city and states across America, or is it only in certain areas of the United States where they recognize it just as valid as a marriage license, or where they, because it could get deep when I'm saying that is because of beneficiaries, a divorce was to happen or somebody was to pass away, things like that. How is that protected? And again, with the city states on the national level recognize it, or is it a certain area in the United States?
So we have married couples all over the country. And what you would do, just like any private contract, you get it authenticated with your state via a notary, and then you turn it into your local jurisdiction to put it on public record. And then as far as the let's say if you're a homeowner and you want, you could put your spouse on as a title holder, or if you want to pass it to her on through your estate, then obviously you'll put it in your will. Most people don't know you have a right of sepulture, and your right of sepulture means that if you were to pass away, your wife or your spouse has the right to tell the morgue of what to do with your body. So, we have all types of affidavits and everything else. Like I said, children still get health care through your insurance. You basically have everything covered. It's just that the actual marriage is through a private contract in which you will get authenticated in your county or in your city, and then you get it filed on public record so people will know that you're married. And then once she's ready to change her last name, you would take your contract and you would take it down to your court and explain why she's changing her last name. They'll honor it. And then you go to depending on your state, because in Michigan, they could change it right there and get it done there. And I know some places you have to go to the Social Security office and get it done there. But we have all the documents and protocols needed in order to make sure that everything is shifted into place securely.
And is there a fee for that, and how much is the fee?
Well, if you're doing it through our tribe, the Aboriginal Republic of North America, it would depend, because if you're going to go through us, then you are required to do counseling beforehand, because just like anything else, we want to make sure that what we put in our names on is going to be good. We vet each couple and make sure that there's there's no hidden agendas or hidden issues going on with the couple, or if we deem as if you're not ready to be married, then we may vote against it. But if you're just looking for the private contract, you can get through one of our jurists, and a jurist is just like an Aboriginal lawyer, and they all have their own separate fees, but it's not that much. It's like less than like $60. And that's just like the draft, because you want to put your own stipulations in there, and then when you guys agree and review them, then you put everything on your own terms. But we just basically give you like the outline of it.
And again, it's recognized in the courts, right?
Well, it's recognized by the county. We're not we don't have a contract it's not a contract with the state. So let's say you two were to get a divorce, then it will be upon you two to divide, whatever assets, children that you may have. It's recognized by the states, but not the actual courts. Like you wouldn't be able to go to the court to get your divorce.
Got you. All right.
So again, this is yep.
All right.
No, good information, actually.
Yeah. Jay, I have another call, so let me take this one last call.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm not sure.
Man, thanks for the info.
All right, let me see what this is. Caller, open your line. Who's this?
Hi, Gary. It's Gigi. How you doing?
Good evening, Gigi. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you for your show. Thank you for the guest. I also was a little late. I just would like to ask the guest a question, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
I think I heard you say that if y'all decide if they should get married, so there's like a council that decides if the couple is ready to get married. So do you also decide whether they should get divorced, or I'm a little confused?
Yes, because here's what happens.
And I'm not argumentative. I'm just asking.
No, you're fine. So basically, what happens is, and like I was telling the brother before, is like, let's say a couple came to us and they wanted to get married. The first thing we would do is we would go through a couple of counseling sessions to kind of see where you are. because we are going to ask the necessary questions that are going to trigger either some emotional, psychological instability that needs to be addressed, with further counseling sessions, or if we feel like, everything checks out, then, we are good to sign off on your contract. And the reason why is because just like anything else, you wouldn't sign off on anything that you wouldn't think would be successful or would, fall apart. And so, like I was saying earlier in the broadcast, is that, if the couple were on the verge of getting divorced, what you would have with your marriage, if you were to go through us, is covenant keepers. Covenant keepers are the overseers of your marriage, and that's typically another married couple, because typically what happens in relationships and marriage is that when there's a dispute, what typically happens is the wife runs to her, her girlfriends or her single friends and get, irrational advice, or the brothers will go to their, disgruntled or single or, people who aren't married and getting, irrational advice. And so you'll go to your covenant keepers to at least go through a certain amount of counseling before we can even think about signing off on your divorce, because we're pro-family, and we're not going to let you get divorced simply because, he drank your apple juice. Like, we're not going,
So you'll decide if it's okay for them to get a divorce, the council or whatever.
Correct. If you're through us, right.
So have you ever had a situation where the person got divorced, the couple got divorced anyway?
We have not, actually. Like we were saying earlier, since we've been part of the marriage department, we haven't had anyone get a divorce, but we do have protocols for that. But we have yet to experience it. A lot of the couples that we received were already married, and they just got rid of their state-sanctioned marriage and just got their private contracts instead. And so I think we have signed off maybe about 3 dozen in the last couple.
What's signing off? That means that you allowed them to divorce? I'm confused.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, to get married. I'm sorry. Let me backtrack. We have counseled and coached and did the ceremony for maybe about 35 plus couples for them to get married, and we have not had anyone to have a divorce yet. We did have one situation where a couple did kind of go through a serious situation. We advised for them to separate, and we have a sister who's highly professional in her counseling, non-biased, and so she's working with the couple right now, and they seem to be doing okay, but as of right now, no divorces on our record so far.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And another question. So are you like of the same ilk as Dane Calloway? Is that funny? I don't know. I'm old. What?
I have no idea who Dane Calloway is. I'm sorry.
Okay. He's a very interesting young man, even though people make fun of him. He's basically Aboriginal. And even though I was not raised the way that he...
Dan Calloway is not no Aboriginal. He's a hustler, man. I'm going to listen good.
Okay, tell me, because I don't know. Go ahead, tell me.
I unfollow these cats, and I never told Hassan. I do one time listen to, and you could say I was advocate, follower of Ali Muhammad. And I have my
that's the camp I'm out of, Dr. Ali Muhammad. That's my camp.
Yeah. I have my jokes with this.
Good?
I in either good or negative way, but that's not based on the show. The point is this. He's been doing it longer than these dudes that just came out of nowhere talking about this crap.
Okay, don't get upset, Gary. I'm just asking.
No. I'm educating now. The guy that you see that's making much noise, is catching buzz because he sounds trendy. But when you really check the background, there are brothers like Ali Muhammad or anybody else been doing this for longer than this dude been coming out of YouTube. And Ali Muhammad is not a YouTuber. He been doing this boots ground, videotapes, all this before he even go hard on the internet. This dude got his
audience. This YouTuber, okay.
Yes, yes. And trust me, you don't waste your time because what he's saying is no different from the dudes that have been talking about this information for years, decades, and that have shown results.
Well,
you get me?
I never heard about the Aboriginal people, till believe it or not, till I came on TRS.
Well,
so
I think it's just interesting. The only way I could probably go in it in myself is if I got in touch with Ali Muhammad personally. But, you know, he's not a dude that's not easy to get touched to. So I move on to somebody else. Now, mind you, Hassan, because you talk about the Aboriginal, I didn't know about this till tonight. And that's cool because I learn new things when people come in and explain more about, you know, little things like this. And that's cool.
I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you, Gary. Thank you, guest. I'm going to step back. I'm done.
Thank you, Gigi.
Oh, appreciate you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like I said, how your life is going right now, brother, is on a very excellent track. You get me? And you're in a good place right now. I think with this direction.
I'm sorry.
Gigi?
I got one question to the guest. So do y'all encourage young people from within your group to get married, or do you have like other groups that y'all intermix with?
What do you mean other groups?
Like you're part of a Aboriginal, you have a name of your group. So do y'all encourage young people to get married within your group? I don't know how to say it, council, whatever you call it.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I mean, our main objective is promoting black families. So even if, you know, like I said, you don't enroll to be in the tribe, you know, we want to see our folks, you know, in families, and you have to do that through marriage. And for the people who say, well, you could be with somebody without the paperwork, you know, when you sign that contract, or even when you sign that certificate, there's the validation behind it. You know, this is a real deal. Like I signed my name on something, so I have to abide by it. Compared to, like you said, in the broadcast earlier, Brother Chaos, is playing house.
Mm-hmm.
But when you sign the papers, it's different. It's kind of like when you're a renter and you become a homeowner. When you sign all those paper documents, it's a different feel. Now you're responsible for the house. When the furnace goes out, that's on you. You know, you have to be responsible for the roof. And so, you know, we're looking at people who really want to build black families and really produce productive children for society to build a better society. And so we're encouraging, you know, people in ARNA, other African Americans, to say, hey, you know, this mission is bigger than you. And so, you know, for a lot of people who are married, you're leading by example. So as long as you're, you know, an Aboriginal like us with that melanated skin, you know, it doesn't matter what you classify as long as we see a husband and wife together, you know, that's all we can ask for.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, DG. Appreciate it. All right. And this is a good show. This is very informative, educational. I find it, you know, it's interesting. The chat is getting, only one person disagrees and then finds that this should not be discussed because you follow Muhammad. And mind you, I'm not a Muhammad follower for some reason. I'm not sure why. This is very interesting, but nonetheless, you know.
As he's saying, like, I mean, even if it is Master Fard Muhammad or Dr. Ali Muhammad, it shouldn't matter. Like I said, this has nothing to do with religious sect. This is for people who want to get married but don't want the hassle of dealing with the state. This has nothing to do with religious affiliation. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? If if a Chinese person could tell me how to flip houses, better than African American would, I'm gonna go get that information. I think with and you're seeing it here in the political arena, black folks have a problem with working with people they don't like. And with this country, you have to understand that it's not about whether you like the person or not. It's what you can get out of them, what you can agree on. And so, even if you don't like Muhammad or whoever this person's particularly disagreeing with, if they have viable information that can help move you forward, why not look into it?
I agree.
And don't crucify me because I'm not a Trump supporter at all. I'm just using it as an example. But if Trump was to really, if Trump, actually said, black folks, I may not like you, but I'll give you an economic plan to help boost your communities if you vote for me, and he actually sticks by it, and we sit there, we're like, no, we don't like you, we want to rock with Biden, so we're going to go over here. That would be an asinine and a silly concept.
Yeah.
Now, again, like I said, this is strictly hypothetical, but again, we have this problem where we don't want to work with people we don't want to work with people that we don't like, and that's kind of where we always get stuck. Because
yeah, you're right. Like anything in business, there's some things you will never do business with people if and get you where you need to get. You're going to have to do business. You see, the problem with that thinking, you're going to be, what's the word? You're going to be putting yourself, you'll create a bigger ditch than you need to be already in. You're going to be 5-10 steps behind because, unfortunately, we're not organized as a people. So we talking about who we don't want to like or dislike at this stage of the game.
Right.
So you better start, get into the mindset of, you better just say what you can do for me, and we move on from there. All this liking and stuff, that's just stupid. It doesn't get you nowhere,
Absolutely.
But I think we said enough today. This was a very good show.
I appreciate you having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, I was going through the comments, and it looks interesting. Hassan, for any closing remarks, anything you want to say, or anything to people to follow you, or whatever, the floor is yours.
You can check me out on YouTube, Coach Ali's Corner, Hassani R. Ali on Facebook. And again, I understand the climate that we are in as a country, but I am pro-family and I am pro-marriage. In order for us to get ourselves out of the situation, we need to find the suitable men and women who are able to take on the task of marriage and families.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's where it has to be moving forward in the 21st century, I like to call it. But thank you again, Coach Ali or Hassan Ali, for being a part of this stream. I think I learned a little bit more about a lot of things. These are things that, like I said, these shows just to give a different outlook or strategy that our people could do to better their situation. Nothing's perfect, but it's always to have options, like I like to call it, and it will not hurt. I think one of the few things moving forward for us is we got to get our immaturity as people, and we'll be in a better place. So, like always, thank you again for coming as my guest on the show. And hell, we might do this again soon, on some other topics. Who knows?
I'm looking forward to it. So, yep, let's do it again. And I'm looking forward to working with you in the near future.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you again, brother.
All right, you be smooth.
All right, take care.
All right, peace.
And to all that were listening to tonight's stream, thank you again for listening to this podcast. Always, leave a comment to end the stream. If you didn't like this stream, like it. If you approve it, or you can hit a dislike. Wherever way it goes, nonetheless, it's informative. I think you'll get a lot rather you have a closed or open mind. But that's all I'm going to say. Until next time, take care and good night.
I'd like to thank Hassan Ali as my special guest for tonight's broadcast. Also, you can follow him. Links will be in the description. And like always, comment, subscribe, and like this video. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChaosReign7. Thank you for listening. Until next time, let chaos reign!